Hi guys, welcome back to the Cosmic Revolution channel. Okay, today I'm very excited. I'm going to be doing a new series we're going to be offering where I'm going to be reviewing and just showing you and giving you little sneak peeks of some of the favorite decks that I use in my practice. Any of you who have sat with me in a session or come to an event of mine know that I love card decks. They are like my modern adult witchy toys. I have dozens and dozens, if not maybe 100 different card decks I use. But I know it's so hard when you're new, you're starting off, and you want to buy a deck and you don't know which one speaks to me, okay? I know it's a very personal thing to connect into a deck. And I also know that like when I was starting off, my budget was very small. So I definitely didn't want to order a deck that didn't speak to me and then be stuck with it. So I want this series here to be about getting, for you to see like, oh yeah, that speaks to me, that image, that feels good, or what Maddie said about how to use that deck is exactly what I need right now. And just to hopefully help you and provide some grace, ease, and guidance on your empowerment journey. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to be doing these in rounds of 3 and just showing you a comparison of 3 decks that fit under one category for me. And if any of you have been on your spiritual journey for a while, or if any of you have ever been into a new age bookstore, then you know I gotta start off this whole series shouting out to the OG, shouting out to the queen of oracle cards, Miss Dorian Virtue. Now I know Dorian Virtue has some, like, I don't know really what's going on with her right now, but I think she's kind of stopped doing her spiritual work and she went super like born again Christian. Great, love her, sending her blessings. But I will say that no matter where her stance is now, her books, her guides, her oracle decks gave me so much in the beginning of my spiritual journey when I felt so lost and overwhelmed. And she just has a way of breaking things down in a super fun, simple, colorful, approachable way that really spoke to me. And with all these deck reviews, if it doesn't speak to you, that's fine. Take what resonates and leave the rest. So Dorian Virtue, her decks, she has dozens and dozens of oracle decks. And she even has some tarot decks. I'm not going to be talking about the tarot decks today, but I did pick out 3 of my favorite oracle decks of hers to work with. And these are, who are these for? This is great for beginners. If you've never picked up a card in a day in your life and you're like, what is this? I'm kind of weirded out. You know, can I even read oracle cards? Or is this spooky? Or whatever, like, fears or nervous feelings you may have around a card deck, I will say starting with one of these 3 is a great way to initiate yourself into the path of being able to read oracle cards. So we're going to be reviewing first Dorian Virtue's Goddess card. So Goddess oracle deck. If any of you know me, this is like always with me. This deck, I will say, like, changed my life because just showing up to it repeatedly gave me so much back to myself. It helped expand my consciousness. It helped me connect into my divine feminine. And it's a really powerful deck. You can find these online. I know some of Dorian Virtue stuff is limited edition, but I do still want to review this in case they get republished. So Dorian Virtue. So these here, crown on the back, you'll see. And then each image is a goddess archetype, a deity that spans different cultures, different nationalities, different traditions. We have Abundancia, a Roman goddess. You know, we have Irakura, we have Lakshmi, we know, shout out to the Hindu goddess of prosperity. We have Pele, fire goddess from the Hawaiian indigenous peoples tradition. We have Freya, our Norse Viking goddess. So you see that Dorian Virtue really tapped into a wide variety of goddesses, and the goddess energy comes with a message. So I'll read to you Freya's. It says, Freya, bold, unleash your adventurous side, take risks and be daring. And this alone gives you a lot to think about for the day, but there's also a guidebook where she goes into 2 or 3 pages into the history of the goddess, a more extended reading for you, and then what I always love, some self-care tips based on this card. So this is a great deck if you're starting off on your journey, or if you connect into the divine feminine at all, and especially if you're starting to work with the goddesses as a way of understanding all of the different archetypal energy that you have and that you can embody through these figures. So that's the Dorian Virtue Goddess Oracle deck. Next up, I had to shout out this one of my Pisces moon, but this is the Dorian Virtue Mermaids, Magic, and Miracles deck. So this deck, I will say, is for you if you're new, if you're beginning, absolutely. If you were drawn to the water, if you like working with water energy, water deities, if you are a water sign or have a lot of water sign placements in your chart, and even I would say this is good to work with children. I have gifted a few of these to my friends with children as young as like 2 or 3 years old, because the messages are just really positive, and it's really a beautiful thing to give a little boost, an injection of a positive mindset to a child with these fun kind of playful images of mermaids and dolphins on them. So like this card here says you're being helped. Heaven is working behind the scenes to help you, even if you don't see results yet. And there's a little baby mermaid with dolphins. Hello. Could not be better. Let yourself receive. Allow others to give you loving care. Receive without guilt or apologies. So this deck is almost in the best way a little childish, but I like that. A lot of the work, a lot of my spiritual practice is connecting back into my inner child and listening to her and honoring her and letting her receive. So this deck was, I will say, complete transparency. The first time I saw this deck, it was in Maha Rose in Brooklyn, and I was like, what are these people on? Mermaid deck? What does that even mean? Like, at least the goddesses, I understood they were historical figures, some of them, or deities that we all know, but I was like, mermaids are giving me advice? I don't think so. But then when I got the deck and played with it at an event, I realized, okay, Maddie, get out of your Virgo, sometimes skeptical, cynical self, and realize that like all of the playfulness in this card really helped me connect, like I said, to my inner child. Synchronicity with dolphins going over crystals. Like I said, super straightforward, straight to the point, and definitely good if you need a much needed injection of like playfulness into your spiritual practice. So the last card deck that I'm going to review of Dorian Virtue's, she has so many, I could have done like 50, but these are the 3 that I work with the most of her card decks. The last deck that I'm going to review today is the Crystal Angels deck. So I would say that the Mermaid deck is great for beginner, even children. The Goddess deck may be more like you're not completely new to the spiritual journey, because there's some messages in there. If you're completely new, you might be like, what are they talking about? Like, infinite supply of the universe? What? But if you already have a little bit of some base spiritual knowledge behind you, this Goddess deck is really empowering. And then I would say this Crystal Angels deck, I would say it would be good for someone who's a little bit deeper in their spiritual journey, and especially if you want to learn more about earth magic, specifically crystal magic. This deck really helps teach you, gives you positive messages, guidance, that oracular kind of wisdom, but it also can teach you a lot about working with stones. So if you pull a card for the day, let's see. Oh, here we go. The most famous of all crystals, clear quartz. And there's like really fun, trippy art on these. They're like crystals and angels and holographs and rainbows. Clear quartz says, let yourself feel all your emotions. Your entire rainbow spectrums of feelings is sending you important messages and guidance. And then we have, let's see, okay, rhodochrosite, be gentle with yourself. You've been through a lot and need time to recover. So this deck is really great for getting a beautiful message from your angels, but also about like learning stones. This also has a guidebook with further in-depth readings for you, more messages about what the crystals are and how to work with them, which I love. Like Larimar, which we all know, or maybe we don't know, but this is a deep stone of the divine feminine that comes from the Dominican Republic. It says sensitive emotions, times of heightened emotions and sensitivity call for extra self-care and gentleness. So if you're new to crystals, pulling a card, getting the message, but also maybe studying that crystal for the day and seeing what that message has for you. Crystals also give intuitive messages, just like cards. So you can kind of know in the future that when you're drawn to Larimar, it might mean that you are going through, like it said, a heightened time of needing your own divine feminine connection, your own gentleness with yourself. So I hope this helps. This is just a very brief series that I want to do just to kind of let you all experience these cards, see them a little bit, get a feel for their personality, and see what resonates, see what your heart says yes to. If you want, I can go over probably the next video. We'll be reviewing a few different tarot decks. I'll also be reviewing a few different crystal decks, and of course independent decks that I've gotten from people on Etsy over the years. So let me know in the comments below any questions you have on these, and as always, I'm sending you blessings for your cosmic journey.